Hello everyone, welcome to my new show. My name's Keith Hopkins. I live in Shingle House, Pennsylvania. Every night we're going to be talking about different subjects. Some of them may be fascinating, some you may find boring, but I think you'll find them all interesting in one way or another. Tonight we're going to start off with the subject of DJing. I'm 47 years old and I've been a DJ since I was 14. The first show I did was in Hornell, New York at the Hornell High School. It was my 8th grade year. And, it was in getting close to Halloween time. I had just built my first DJ system. Over the years I've had 4 different ones. Some of them were humongous, some were small. The first one was fairly small, but you gotta start somewhere. Well, my music teacher's name was Mrs. Morawski. And we usually had music class in the lecture room at the high school, a very large room. And I told her I'd like to do my first show for her in the class. So I kind of kept it a secret from the other kids. We wanted to surprise them. That day, Halloween 1980, we had a plan. At lunchtime, when all the other kids were in the cafeteria, my friend Bud helped me carry my DJ system into the classroom. Unfortunately, there was a closet in there. We were able to hide it in until later in the day. It was mainly just a large cabinet that had lights and speakers that sat inside of it. Of course, it all had to be put together. When I was carrying it in the building, though, I kind of got stopped by the principal. He asked me why we were bringing all this stuff in, and I had to explain to him we were having a party in music class during 8th period, and he said, "What party?" And one of my friends, the only girl in the classroom who knew about the party, and that's because she was my girlfriend at the time. Her name was Erin. She helped explain to Mr. Deerso what was going on. So I was able to carry the rest of the equipment down the hall and lock it in the lecture room. Fortunately, none of the other kids who were going to be at the party that day saw me bring it in. Well, Mrs. Morawski let me come to class 10 minutes early that day so I could get everything set up in 10 minutes, you know. These days it takes 3 hours for me to set my system up, but back then things were a little different. So I got in there, 10 minutes. The other class was a study hall, so during the last 10 minutes of the study hall I'm setting my system up, and everybody who's sitting there is looking at me like wondering what's going on. Excuse me. And I didn't say nothing actually. I just kept working. And when the other kids came in there and that system was all set up, I started the music. They were just in awe. Nobody could believe what was happening. They all came up to me and said, "Where'd you get this thing?" And I'm like, "I built it." Then their mouths dropped open like, "Huh?" So that was my very first DJ show. We turned the lights off, and I got the disco lights going. This is back when disco was still alive. and it was really great. We had a dance right in our classroom. Everyone got up and danced. Everyone had a good time. I guess I got a little crazy. They were standing in a circle dancing, and I kind of picked this one girl up. Her name was Kathy, and I walked out in the circle and kind of spun her around a little. She was in shock. We got a lot of laughs out of it. No, it was just good, clean fun. Everyone had a great time. So the very first show I ever did in my DJ career was a big success. I got involved in DJing a little earlier in the disco era. You know, when I was in 6th grade, that's when the kids in 1L were allowed to go to the dances for the first time. That's pretty much when the disco era was at the height of its popularity. So when I'd go to the dances, often I'd stand there and I'd just look up at the equipment. To me, the light show that they had was really fascinating. And, I spent a lot of time just studying the equipment, studying the lights. That was the best part about it, really, studying the sound system and everything. I eventually met a friend in 1L. His name was Gary Packer. In the old days, there used to be a discotheque in 1L that was called Richie's. Gary was the DJ up there. So me and Gary would talk a lot. He kind of gave me my start. He explained to me how the lights worked, what they were. Like the strobe lights, the black lights, the lights that go to the beat of the music, they're called color organs. And some lights, they're called chasers, they just flash right in a row. And I could spend hours talking about lights. For now, let's just go on. So yeah, that was pretty much how I got my start. Just being there and studying the equipment. And then with Bud's help, by the way, he was my mom's boyfriend at the time, he built a cabinet for me. I designed it, he built it, and I got the lights that go in it. And that cabinet went to many shows, actually. The one, you always remember your very first one, the one you start off with. And I'm glad to say that my very first show was a big success. A lot of things has changed with DJing over the years. Back in those days, most of us had these big lights that were like 5 feet tall. You had to carry around and set up. I built most of mine myself. My second light show, when I was 17, I was in building construction class up in BOCES in 1L. I decided then that I could make some better lights for my system. These lights were, there were 5 of them, they were 5 feet tall. Back then, these boxes we used to put our lights in had to be really big to give a good effect. But, in those days, it was really hard DJing because the equipment was so much bigger and a lot heavier. My friend Gary Packer built me my first real set of speakers. The ones I had in my old cabinet, they were just stereo speakers, but these were DJ speakers. They were made out of 1-inch thick pine board. They weighed about 100 pounds a piece. I'll tell you this: if you you're not in good physical condition if you can't do heavy lifting. And DJing is definitely the wrong career to be in, because there was a lot of it. Back then there was even more. DJs in those days, we carried our big crates of records with us. Some of us even used 8-tracks. There was a while I used everything: records, tapes, CDs, 8-tracks, the whole 9 yards. When music videos came out, I started bringing my VCR to the shows with me. Back in those days, it was the old video tapes. Everything was a lot bigger back then, a lot heavier to move. But, you know, that's the way it was at the time. Over the years, through miniature technology, a lot of the equipment we used to use is a lot small. I mean, a lot of the equipment we used to use is not around anymore. I could buy a light that's probably this big, like this, about like that. That one little light can put out more special effects than all my old lights put together. Tripod lighting is pretty much the thing now that we have miniature technology. And unlike the old days, we don't have to carry those big heavy records with us. Those records cases really slowed us down. Now everything's CD or computers. I use all CDs and computer now. My new system, it's smaller than the old one, much easier to move around. And these new lights, I mean, I could really fill a room with a light show, and everything just sits on a table now. Instead of having to take up a whole wall like in the old days. And also with miniature technology, I've got a set of speakers now. They weigh about 25 pounds a piece. They're fairly bulky, but I can lift them by myself. And they're not even half as heavy as all those old ones we used in the old days. Through miniature technology, we can make small speakers play just as loud as the big ones did. It's much easier to move my equipment around now. Oh, if you're wondering who this is my little cat, Willow. Or she, I mean. She usually comes down to sit with me at night time. And quite often at night, it's about 11:30 now. Dieter already went to bed. This is the one time I get a little free time to myself, It's just me and Willow. Usually I stay up and watch Netflix. Probably what I'll be doing when I get done with this. Just, taking it easy. So, you'll probably see Willow and some of my other shows. She always comes to join me at night when I'm here. The other dogs, we got 2 dogs, a collie and a Dalmatian. They go to bed with Dee when she goes. They're all in their kennels now, and it's just me and Willow. Yeah. As a DJ, I've also had a chance to work with bands. My favorite type of event actually is a jamboree. That's usually where there's somebody who might have medical needs that cost a lot of money to get treated. So it's like 5 bands set up. They have like a host band that sets the PA system up for the other bands. And there's me. Now I play my music before the bands start, and then while one's tearing down and the other one's setting up, I play more music. So So jamborees are a lot of fun. You know, that working with bands like that, it's really great. Well, I guess that's it for tonight. If any of you have any questions for me or comments, I welcome them. You know, please write to me, tell me what you think. And me and Willow will be seeing you very shortly.